council meeting microphone. It's great to have the city council around. Anyway, let me start all over. Thank you for joining us tonight in our city council meeting, which is being held on the 14th of October of 2025. We appreciate your willingness to come and share your ideas with us. We'll start our meeting tonight by hearing from Council Member Christina Watson. She will, at her choice, give us an invocation or a thought, or both, and then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Watson.
I will lead us in an invocation. Father in heaven, we're grateful at this time that we can gather in this meeting. And as a community, we pray that thou will continue to guide this community and bless us with direction. Help us to tonight be able to speak with clarity and understand each other, one another. And we pray that we will be civil, that we will be able to speak our opinions and disagree in a civil way and understand and listen as well. We pray that thou will bless this community, all the members there in this community with the things that they are in need of. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Watson. Any conflicts of interest that need to be disclosed this evening, Council? That would be the time. I see none. So we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is an action needed to approve the minutes of the September 23rd, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. Do we have such a motion?
Mayor, I move that we approve September 23rd, 2025 City Council meeting minutes.
Thank you, Councilmember Severing. Have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Pulver. Any corrections that have not already been communicated to Ryan or any further discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. We'll move into our active agenda this evening, which entails having public comment. So if you're here to make public comment, or John, if you would watch online for someone to raise their hand, and now would be the time to come up to the podium here, state your name, and if you're a resident of North Ogden, and please limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
I do have a couple of pamphlets to hand out. Is it possible to hand them now or wait till the end?
You can hand them out whenever you'd like.
Okay, can I step up and?
You betcha. You want me to pass them down? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
My name is Teresa Kessinger, and I am a resident of North Ogden. We love this community, and we're thankful to be a part of it. I have 2 elementary school-aged children with various dietary restrictions. My son Ethan has food allergies and sensitivities to gluten, dairy, sesame, artificial dyes, and several preservatives. My daughter Lillian's restrictions are the result of years of learning the impact of food on our bodies and a family decision to avoid artificial ingredients. As a mom, I know how challenging it is to provide for children with special diets, which is why I have decided to do something to make it easier for other parents in similar situations. The Utah Department of Agriculture and Food permits in-home food businesses under the Cottage Food Law. This law allows people to use their home kitchens to provide shelf-stable goods to the community after meeting all the requirements, including a valid food handler's permit, a full kitchen inspection by the state, proper labeling, recipe submission, and various other prerequisites. This law allows the community more options for food provision and encourages entrepreneurship for individuals. Because there is less overhead than a commercial kitchen, the cottage kitchen business permits owners to initiate small-scale provisions while keeping costs down for the consumer. The cottage kitchen business is a wonderful opportunity for various demographics, including retirees and stay-at-home parents, allowing them to connect and contribute to the community without compromising other responsibilities. Caring for children with dietary restrictions requires significantly more planning and preparation for activities of daily living. These children don't have the privilege to just eat whatever is being offered. They must learn at a young age to question all food options. They are often left feeling different than their friends and peers. I can vividly remember many times over the years being on the verge of tears, knowing it shouldn't be this difficult to feed my family. A trip to the grocery store can feel overwhelming. Special outings, vacations, and even celebrations are more difficult for these parents. School-age children often celebrate birthdays in the classroom, and parents typically send their child with cupcakes or cookies for the class. With my son's restrictions, it means making a special treat for him and then trying to find a similarly packaged product for the rest of the classroom, since homemade food is not permitted for classroom distribution. My son has been incredibly mature and understanding from a very young age about his dietary differences. But on his birthday, I want him to feel normal and be able to enjoy the same treat as the rest of his class. Currently, there are no options available in North Ogden for classroom-appropriate birthday treats that my son would actually be able to share with his class. Just yesterday at his parent-teacher conference, my son's teacher was saying how bad she feels every time she hands out treats for the students because she knows Ethan won't be able to enjoy them. She also shared her own experience with how difficult it is to find food for her own family with gluten and dairy allergies. It is my hope and my desire to start a small-scale cottage kitchen business to provide families with affordable, natural, and allergen-friendly party treats. This would ease the strain on parents and give these children the benefit of enjoying the simple and innocent celebrations of childhood without feeling different from their friends. I also would like to offer pro bono services to the schools by providing treats free of harmful additives to their students for school celebrations and events. While navigating this journey, I have learned the significance of wholesome diets for growing children and the effect of poor diets on children's health and behavior. Pediatric chronic illness has risen to 30% of the population over the last 20 years. More than 1 in 5 children has been diagnosed with a mental, emotional, or behavioral health condition. As many as 6 million children in the United States have food allergies, which ends up being about 2 per classroom. Artificial food coloring has been linked to hyperactivity and other neurobehavioral issues in children, as well as an increased risk of cancer. While diet is not the only contributing factor, it would be detrimental to not recognize the role food plays in this health crisis. It is my hope that I could use my small business as an avenue for spreading awareness of the importance for making better food choices for our children, and to provide these options for the growing number of our population with food allergies and restrictions. As a mom advocating for my own child's health, I know something needs to be done to lighten this load for other families in our community and to ease the strain that they feel daily caring for their children. I ask that you please consider permitting the operation of cottage kitchen businesses in North Ogden to provide the opportunity for our residents, and so that I may personally utilize my experience and passion to meet the needs of our community. Thank you.
First of all, let me thank you for coming and joining us tonight
Thanks for having me.
and expressing your concerns and ideas. I know I talked to John about this, why this has kind of got bogged down over the years. And John indicated it's because of all the rules that the state implies. But I got thinking, John, if we allowed it, conditional upon meeting all those requirements, what do you see the issue to be?
So what we found is that folks who've come in before, as they start digging deeper into the process, and they're the applicants for the land use ordinance change that would allow this, they end up dropping out of the process and stop responding to our emails. So if we have someone who can go through that process with us, then we can get our ordinance changed and allow it. Sounds like Teresa has a passion for it and is not gonna give up as easy as some of the others have who were trying to do it for a bake sale type of thing or something.
Yeah, it looks like she has researched all the requirements and listed those.
Yes.
And thank you too for doing it legally, because
Yes.
I do see people selling bread on
Mhm.
the corners
Yes.
occasionally. So thank you so much for
Yes.
taking the proper approach.
So if it comes from the council as a directive, then we don't charge an ordinance
I'd
like a fee
suggest,
to change the ordinance.
Um,
We actually were gonna do that in January. I was just looking through and JD said, hey, let's
about
add
it.
this to the planning commission agenda. So I think that's the process to start it, I think, right?
Yeah, and in that one, the applicant dropped out.
Oh,
So it
okay.
just that's what I mean is like we get it people who aren't necessarily as passionate, they just think it'd be a good idea, and then we start going through the process and they just drop out. But
Sounds like we have someone who's passionate and is willing to lead the charge and maybe join in a meeting at the planning commission.
Yep.
Let me just say, council, would you like to proceed and suggest from the city that we pursue an ordinance change?
Yes.
yes.
Yes, please.
Look at that. You're so convincing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
thank
And
you
we'll
very
be in contact because I think it would be good for you to walk alongside us with this and
Be happy to.
and get it through the process.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
It's laminated.
Anyone else like to comment at this time? We have additional public comments at the end of the meeting. John, anyone online have their hand raised?
nope.
All right, then we will move along. We're going to now have a public hearing.
Oh, public hearing? Okay. Well, I was just I wondered if it might be maybe a good thing to move discussion number 8 a little earlier so Casey doesn't have to stay here for 2 hours before his presentation.
I think he likes staying here. Yeah.
Oh, you will? Okay.
He usually stays the whole time, but that's a good
Right.
idea, but Casey's so excited to make his presentation. All right, at this point in time, we have with us our finance director, Mr. Peter Brown, and John Coller, city manager. And the purpose of this public hearing is to receive comments on the amended budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. This was motivated by the Utah State Tax Commission's denial of property tax increase, not certifying our rate. So thus we have to address that issue. So at this point in time, I would ask Mr. Brown, along with Mr. Call, to present to us the proposed budget amendment.
I'll start us off while Peter's coming up. So we are working together on budget stuff because I told him I would help him get us through the new budget and then we would hand it off to him so he could manage it over the next year and I wouldn't force him to create a new budget for us. This is the last little cleanup the state has imposed on us. In the staff report, it shows that we were going to generate with our 4.5% tax increase, $3.147 million. The actual certified rate, which is what we default to with the state not agreeing with the increase, is just over $3 million. So it's $3,006,000. The sections of the budget that are actually amended are our tax revenue, and then also the budget related to our fund balance usage has been increased by that $141,000 because we have to have a balanced budget. And from there, I know Peter has a few ideas on some additional revenues that we potentially can foresee, hopefully in the future. And then I know council, I know you've all been thinking about ways that we could maybe trim the budget or find some additional reductions in expenses that might help us. So anyways, that's part of the discussion, but I think Peter has a few ideas on revenue options for the council.
John, will this be addressed in our 2-page executive budget summary that we had to make this change? You know, the 2-page budget summary for the public? that summarizes the budget?
For the,
Similar to Sandy?
similar to Sandy. So, I mean, the purpose of the staff report was to give a simple
Yeah.
analysis of it. We don't have the 2-page summary that summarizes the entire budget.
Yeah, I was just asking, will this be addressed when we get that done?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Peter?
Really, this is just a very, very simple, we're asking for your looking at the budget to make that one simple change in the property tax amount, going from 3.147 million to 3,006,000, like John had stated. That's really the only actionable item to take today. My thoughts were just to sort of ensure you that we're looking at some other ways to sort of come around the other side and fill that back in. I've been looking at some of the budget and have found some ways in which we can sort of fill that back in with, we were very conservative on our interest budget allocations from our bond that I think will allow us to bring that up, probably cut that deficit in half by amending that budget. And we also noticed that there were some offsets related to the admin fee that we charge our funds for operating fund services. That will probably bring in another $37,000 into the general fund. I was actually going to bring you those amounts and have you vote on those tonight, but as I kept looking, I kept finding more things. And so I just decided at this point, what I'd like to just let you know that we were looking into that. When we do the mid-year budget adjustments in December, I will bring you a more comprehensive list so that you'll have it all there and then, if that makes sense. So.
What questions do you have for Peter or Mr. Puller?
So the adjustments you're talking about, are they multi-year or just like single year, like you're saying?
Just single year. So it would be the 26 budget. And, just I've gone through and looked, I've seen some areas, particularly on the revenue side. I haven't really looked at the expenditure side that much, where we might have been overly conservative in our estimates. And I think that we could bring those up, and then we have an offset.
Yeah, because I think the key thing the council is, well, at least I am thinking about is, what do we do next year? And I think everybody at debates and stuff like that, they were saying, don't double my taxes next year just because of this. So if there's ways that we cannot do that, that would be awesome. So I think that's, if we're thinking just this year, but if we're thinking year over year, if there's things that little tweaks here and there that can help us to not do that, that would be great. So.
Well, so that's why I didn't want to bring those to you today, because as I go through more comprehensively for mid-year adjustments, it's great to find areas of revenue that we might have missed in our budget, but I might find some areas of expenditures that will offset that. So let's wait till we get to December, and I'll have a more comprehensive list, and maybe we'll have some surprises that will help us look at that in the future.
Thanks.
So.
Anyone else have a question or comment? Councilmember Del Paz?
Well, we went through the budget in depth over several months, and I don't feel like we had anything that was brought to our attention that was over and above our needs. And so the way that my mind has been thinking about this ever since I found out that we were not going to get this extra revenue is, it sure seems like an emergency situation. So I think it's probably a situation where we take from our rainy day funds to be able to balance the budget. That's just my initial glimpse at it. I hope there's some better ideas, but to me, it kind of qualifies as an emergency because we planned and planned and planned, and our plan hit a wall because of this technicality with the state.
And John, isn't that how it's structured for this one change?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments before I invite public comment? Okay, thank you, Peter. You'll be here to ask questions, answer questions. Does anyone have any comments or suggestions I'd like to make in regards to the budget? as part of our public hearing? State your name, please, and if you're a resident.
John Arrington, I'm a resident of North Ogden. I think this is really unfortunate, and I haven't been able to determine yet whether it's some legislation that was passed, so we go after our representatives. It was just a standalone decision the tax commission made. But I think it's really unfortunate that we're put in this position where we have to do that after all the work you did to come out with the best budget you can. So I don't envy what you have to do, but I just think it's unfortunate because I think no matter how hard you look, somehow at least part of this is going to have to be made up in next year. And there's no way around it. The only positive I can see in this is that we're not a school district that's being affected by $13 million in a thing such as this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to comment this evening?
Reed Miller, North Ogden. Hey, I just want a clarification of what the state did. What they did.
I'll try to give you my best overview, Reader's Digest version. They passed a law that required numerous steps. One of those steps, well, two of the steps that are kind of people got denied on is it required the taxing entity to put up a slide during their public hearing showing what every other city or county in Weber County, what they were going to do for taxes.
Yeah.
Now, you know, in accounting, they say substance over form. I still don't understand what the substance of that is, particularly in our case, since we were the last one to hold a public hearing on the last day. So it was published to the public in our packet that went out. The only shortfall was we failed to put it on the screen for even if we would have just flashed it up there probably. So it was a technicality. One entity got denied because the law, there's, I can't remember, 8 or 10 steps or something like that you have to go through, which is interesting because when the tax commission provided their training to cities, that wasn't part of their training. They didn't address that. Another entity got denied because the law says in the public hearing for your budget, that's all you can basically discuss. So I guess there was some council members that made a few comments after, and there was some additional discussion of minimal amount they denied. I personally believe that this was passed. It was the Senate sponsor was Wilson out of Cache County. I just think in his mind, he thought he'd just make it as difficult as he could for cities to increase property taxes. When we talked to our representative about this, they acted like, what? That was kind of clueless. John wrote an appeal letter to the tax commission, which they denied, saying that they didn't have jurisdiction to appeal because there's no appeal right in the law. Here's the interesting thing, according to Mr. Call, is they were supposed to either approve or deny our certified tax rate by the 15th of September, John, was it? Which they did not do. So we're required to follow everything to the minuscule thing, and they had some excuse why they didn't have to. But that's the result of, it was just form, no substance. It wouldn't have made a difference, but
To make a long story short, they denied our 4.5%.
yeah. Along with, I think, 38 other cities. And some school districts had multi-million, was the highest 9 or 13 million?
13.
$13 million. The one school district was denied because
They didn't follow
they didn't put
everything.
the thing up on the screen.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
That was Reader Digest.
Oh, yeah, I could go deeper. I could go into the other 8 or 10 deals. Anyone else? Anyone online, John?
I don't see any hands, Mayor.
Okay, at this point in time, I'd look for a motion then to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Dowpaz. Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, the public hearing then, if there's no further discussion from council, will be closed. So at this point in time then, if you have any further questions, concerns or ideas, now would be the time. If not, I would look for a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-1, which would amend the budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Do we have such a motion?
The mayor,
Councilmember Barker?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-21, amending the budget for 2025-2026 fiscal year
As presented by?
as presented. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Watson. Any further discussion? Okay, this evening we'll start our roll call vote on all issues with Councilmember Watson and just work our way down this way. Councilmember Watson?
Yes.
Councilmember Barker?
Yes.
Councilmember Severing?
Yes.
Councilmember Dowpaz?
Yes.
Councilmember Pulver?
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously. Thank you, and we appreciate John and Peter looking for all opportunities to balance the budget. And hopefully we won't have to use any of our fund balance, but if we do, that's what it's there for. We'll now hear from John Call, our city manager and our attorney. He's going to talk to us about resolution 11-20-25, which basically is some fee schedule amendments. I think fairly minimal, but John, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So council, all of these you have already approved through the impact fee resolutions that you adopted earlier in the year. A good majority of them, like the stormwater, the sewer, the fire, or the stormwater, sewer, anyways, and parks, these were adopted and in place. We've already been charging them. As part of the cleanup, though, we've taken the old number, like on stormwater used to be 1474, and deleted it along with the effective date, because we had changed this back in May to be effective on July 1. So we're now just eliminating that date, going to the current, what we are charging, and we have been charging since July 1. We are adding water, which was approved by you in July on July 7th and went into effect a week ago. And then we also, as a cleanup item, are making sure the fire one matches the fire resolution that their board adopted. So it's all impact fees that have already been adopted by a resolution. It's more just a structural cleanup so someone can look at our impact fee schedule and our fee schedule and get a very clean look of this is the number we're charging, not the old numbers. So.
Any questions for Mr. Call?
So I did a comparison to the one that's online, and there was changes to sewer, trash and other things. So is that a cleanup as well, or is that something that there was an older one online?
No, I found it.
You saw that thing? Okay.
It was January's. So what
So the one that was in May included the updates.
day? So I don't.
So
So the one
Um,
online was old.
It must have been old. So yeah, these are the prices that or the schedule that was approved in May, I believe is when we did that. Again, that it went into effect on July 1.
Okay.
Where
So
the-
we'll update the stuff that's online, or the online version is what you're, okay.
We can email it out to you.
Well, good point, Councilmember Pulver. John, how do we assure that we have the most recent fee schedule out there? How do we do that?
Ryan and I, before we put this one, started editing the document, we both confirmed it, which was the latest version from May, and then started editing this document. Because we did have that happen, 6 years ago, where someone grabbed an earlier version and we ended up having to do 3 resolutions in a month or two to capture everything and unwind what had been undone. So.
I just found on transparency on the city website under transparency fee schedules, it does have the January one on there.
Yeah. So we can send you the May one just so you can confirm it.
And I,
And
yeah,
then we'll get them posted as well, just to make sure that
but
we've got,
my point was that
Yeah.
the old one was on there, so.
yeah.
Yeah, and my point was, how do we assure that
That's the one.
we have the most current one out there? What's our process? What's our control to make sure we get that out there?
So the way that what we've started doing since we had the mix up, 5 or 6 years ago is you can see this is not the current, this is the resolution that was adopted in May was 08. So we make sure that we're working off the exact Word document the council saw in 08 or as resolution 08 this year. And then we start amending it from there moving forward so that we're just confident that it's the one that matched.
And we know it's the one that matches. My question is, how do we assure that we get the most recent one published in the city?
Oh,
website?
so Ryan and I will make sure we get this posted as soon as it's signed. And we put it on the finance page for the city.
There could be a broken link if it's through that one and not through the transparency link.
Yeah, just wondering about our process to assure that we put out there. Okay, any questions for Mr. Call? Mr. Dalpaz?
Out of curiosity, have building permits normalized? I know there was a spike for people that wanted to get the lesser impact fees before this went into place. Are we more normalized now?
We're more normal. It's also it's also hard too because there's also typically a surge kind of in May, June, because people want to dry it in by December, and so, but it has dropped down. It's lower this year than it was last kind of August, September. So I think that those interest rates are impacting our building permit numbers right now. We do still anticipate some multifamily units that they've started sending us some of the plans, but we don't have any of them that have actually applied for yet. So,
Thanks.
You probably noticed the water impact fee almost doubled.
yep. Yeah, it's anything that's in the ground that requires moving dirt around has essentially doubled since the last time we did our impact fees, which was, north of 15 years ago.
And just for those who don't understand impact fees, that's fees that are paid for people that are building new houses, the impact they're having on the city by building. So it's not paid by residents as part of the tax base.
Correct.
Any other questions? I see no questions. Then I'd be looking for a motion to approve resolution 11-20-25, which amends the fee schedule as presented to us this evening. Do I have a motion? Councilmember Severing.
I move that we approve resolution 11-2025 for fee schedule amendments.
Thank you, Councilmember Severing. Do we have a second to the motion?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Pulver. Do we have any further discussion? Questions? All right, this will entail a roll call vote. Councilmember Watson, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Councilmember Barker,
Yes.
Councilmember Severing.
Yes.
Councilmember Dalpaz.
Yes.
And Councilmember Pulver.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously in regards to resolution 11-2025. We'll now also hear from our city manager, Mr. John Call. This is regarding ordinance 2025-22, which would be a temporary land use regulation restricting massage establishments. Mr. Call?
Thank you, council. So council, this is a temporary land use regulation gives a city council the ability to start the process of writing an ordinance and essentially impose new rules immediately while the council works through and the planning commission work through the actual language of what the ordinance might say. In this scenario, the city has received an uptick in what our ordinance would call a massage establishment, which is a place that massages people. And there are some concerns in Utah about the significant increase in massage establishments, which are not following public safety rules and are really housing prostitution services. So to get ahead of that, This restriction will not allow any new establishments to come into the city which have not already applied. Those who are operating in the city legitimately and are will continue. And it's anticipated in the next 6 months, with Planning Commission and Council's help, we'll come up with some regulations which can help us separate the naughty establishments from the legitimate ones, and then impose some things that work for our existing operators. We're going to bring them in and talk to them about how we can work together. In fact, Scott worked in a spa when he was younger, or his wife did. His wife did. And so we're going to get some feedback on folks who make sure that we can make sure the legitimate businesses continue to operate and come into the city and keep the bad ones out. So what this does is it in the first section where it talks about massage establishments, it references, hey, there's a temporary land use ordinance.
Is that a 6 or a 5, John, on March? March 8th, should that be from now till March 8th of 2026?
Oh, 2026. Yep. And we did it as of October 9th, because as soon as we publish this document with the packet, it essentially becomes the ruling controlling ordinance, because it's officially under consideration by the council. So it'll be October 9th to March 9th. And then the important part of it is we make a clarification. This is not professional offices, does not include massage establishments, and massage establishments are specifically now listed as not permitted in our CN and then our CC zones, which are commercial zones, the downtown and the Southtown areas. So any commercial area cannot have a new massage establishment during the time the council and planning commission are working through this land use ordinance.
So does it apply to home businesses as well?
I don't think we do massage establishments as a home business,
Okay.
but we will double check while you talk about this, because that's a good thing to make sure.
Would you like us to table this discussion, John, until you find that question out? Good question.
Depends on how much discussion the council. Oh, Scott is waving his hands around. Maybe come to the microphone, Scott, just so that it's on the official record.
Given the definition of massage establishment, whether it were a business applied for in a commercial zone or through a home-based business application, the planning staff would have the same opinion about it given this regulation. So I think that it would still hold up any of those business licenses for that 6 months, regardless of how it's done, because it's tied back to the definition of massage establishment in Title 11.
Okay, because I mean, I think the establishment that had the issue was not in a commercial zone. So I guess that's the
one I'm aware of was in a commercial zone.
I thought it was behind Lee's.
No, it was in a commercial area.
Okay.
So, and I just looked, the permitted uses in our residential zones do not include either professional offices or massage establishments. So,
Okay.
So,
Great.
but established ones are fine. It's just the ones that are applying for a new license,
Correct.
not a renewal.
yeah. So even those that are currently in the city would be grandfathered in perpetuity, if the council still prohibits massage establishments forever, because technically it's not one of those protected uses where we have to allow for it in the city.
Any other questions of Mr. Call? All right, then we would look for a motion to approve ordinance 2025-22, temporarily limiting the use of massage establishments in the city. Do we have a motion?
Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance 2025-2022, which is a temporary land use regulation restricting massage establishments as presented by John Call.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Dalpaz. Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Severing. Any further discussion, issues, or questions?
So,
Councilmember Pulver?
so we're just gonna wait, or not wait, where the planning commission's gonna come up with something and then we'll vote on it? Is that how it works? Or-
Prior to March 9th, sounds like, because it's only temporarily restricting till that time frame. So I think probably in conjunction with the city attorney and planner, they'll come up with some regulations that, as John put it, separate the naughty from the nice.
So that's something we'll vote on in the future, is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yes, yes, because it'll be a change, it'll be a permanent change to the land use regulation. Okay. Any other questions? This also requires a roll call vote. Councilmember Watson.
Yes.
Councilmember Barker.
Yes.
Councilmember Severing.
Yes.
Councilmember Dowpass.
Yes.
And Councilmember Pulver.
Yes.
All right, that motion also passes unanimously. We'll also now hear from John Call, our city manager and attorney, who will address our contract that we have with Family Promise for the use of the old Public Works facility. Is it once a month they use that facility?
Once every 5 weeks. Yeah, so I think they do occasionally do it every 4 weeks, but their goal is every 5 weeks. And you may have seen in your emails, they just opened a new facility, kind of headquarters for themselves, which has been a good thing for them.
Great.
Almost open. That's true. Yeah, the grand opening is soon.
28th.
Okay, John, then would you like to address the contract the city has with Family Promise?
Yes, so this council, the only change to this contract are the dates. So it's 2025, and then down further, as Councilmember Pulver saw,
You passed it.
I passed it already.
Keep going.
Oh, here it is. So the term, it's essentially we're kind of backdating it because they've been operating for 3 months without a contract. And so we're just backdating it to July 1 for a year through June 26 with the ability for 3 one-year additional terms. And they have reviewed this. They've said it was good for them. We did change the name of the contact with Family Promise. The individual originally on this is no longer associated with them. So they'll continue to use it. And it does say they can't use it more than 12 weeks per year. So I think to the mayor's point, that would be once every 4 weeks, although I believe it's still once every 5 is what they normally do, but it does give them the ability to do every 4. So.
Any questions? I've never quite seen that language where it says at the option of both parties. I'm assuming that means that has to be in agreement with.
Yeah, we would basically, this would come back, we'll set this to come back to the council again in June and say, hey, we're just going to evaluate. One of the reasons we've done this on short terms is that facility over there has the ability to be redeveloped. We're not actively pursuing folks or anything like that, but there may be something that pops up that the council might say, hey, we do want to take the old Public Works buildings down. The one that was demolished, for example, that was on the west side, was beyond usability anymore. And so we took it down for safety reasons. And eventually the building they're in now will end up in that same scenario, just because they're both, well, one I think was from the 50s and the other one's from the 60s, I think. So they're both old buildings.
Councilmember Dowpass?
With the new headquarters in Harrisville that they're opening up, does that in any way affect what their needs will be in the future? Or is that facility going to house people, or is that just more of an office building?
I think the fire marshal knows more about this.
It has, I think, 9 rooms or 9. It can house 9 families, I think. And also they're already, maybe I won't say that, but yeah, it can house people, and it will.
Okay, any other questions? Anything further, Mr. Call?
Nope.
All right, then I'd look for a motion to approve the contract that was presented on our screen tonight. The Family Promise for the use of our Public Works facility, old Public Works facility. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Watson.
Mayor, I'd like to approve a contract with Family Promise for use of our old Public Works facility as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Pulver. Any further discussion, questions, issues? All right, this also will require a roll call vote. Councilmember Watson,
Yes.
Councilmember Barker,
Yes.
Councilmember Severing,
Yes.
Councilmember Dolpaz,
Yes.
and Councilmember Pulver.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. We'll now hear from Casey, our city treasurer and emergency manager. He sent out to each of you a report, I believe, on the aftermath of our fire and things we learned. Had the opportunity with Casey and our assistant fire chief, Jeremiah Jones, and the emergency preparedness from Weber County to present down the Utah League of Cities and Towns. And Casey did a very nice job along with the others involved. So Casey, would like you to give us an overview of your very well done report.
Oh, well, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. So I just wanted to go over, I sent out the official after action report to you guys yesterday, I think it was, or this morning. Just talking about what happened and what we as city staff and as fire command met shortly afterwards and did what's called a hot wash, where we just kind of reviewed the incident. Chief Jones and Chief Maxfield were there. I think you got there late, or you weren't there at all? I can't remember.
I was there the whole time.
You were trying to get there. I know
made a
that,
big
but
impression.
they were at a Chiefs meeting, and Chief Maxfield told me they should have all drove separately, and they made that mistake. So, but they didn't. So I just wanted to kind of go over that and talk about what went well, what we can improve on, and what we're doing to improve. So the fire sparked on August 13th. It was contained and put out officially, according to Northview Fire, on August 22nd. Sorry. It burned 577 acres. We evacuated 100 plus homes, and residents were able to return with roughly 24 hours later. 0 structures were lost, which is really incredible. I have a picture that Chief Maxfield sent me, or Chief Jones sent me, not Chief Maxfield, of a drone, of how you can really see how close that fire got to the homes in the Mason Cove subdivision. And it's really incredible that we didn't lose any structures. There were, however, 2 injuries. I believe both of those were firefighters. One was I think they were both transported by ambulance or checked out by paramedics. I don't know. I just heard that over the radio. I do know that there were 2 injuries, but it was a successful multi-agency response, despite some of the communication challenges that we were facing. Councilman Pulver, you mentioned that in your email today. So the origin was a vehicle fire that spread to the hillside. Not to go too much into it, but people were where they shouldn't have been, doing something they shouldn't have been doing, and they kind of just spread it around on the hillside, caused chaos. So it was originally named the North Ogden Fire. This is something that caused a lot of stir. It was quickly renamed the Willard Peak Fire because North Ogden Fire had been taken by a previous one in the system. And there was also a Ben Lomond fire already in the system. We activated our EOC at about 2:30 in the evening, or 2:30 in the afternoon on August 13th. And it was activated till about 2:30 on August 14th, when I received authorization from Fire Command to deactivate. There was a unified command structure with Northview Fire was first on scene. And then it was the Northview Fire, Weber Fire Unified Command. The next morning, it was taken over by the Type 3 Incident Management Team, the Northern Utah Type 3 Incident Management Team, with the objectives were life safety, property protection, and containment, just trying to keep it from burning things. And the firefighters did a wonderful job. We're very, very grateful. We had over 20 agencies and organizations respond. That's fire, law enforcement, state resources, federal resources. We had air assets helping. There were 3 helicopters. And I'm not sure on the number of fixed wing aircraft that were dropping retardant. The helicopters were dropping water. They were pulling water from the Pine View reservoir, not Pine View Reservoir, but the Pine View Secondary Water Reservoir at the top of 1050 East. We did coordinate with the American Red Cross to open a shelter for the evacuation at the LDS Church on Weber High Drive and 500 West in Pleasant View, there by Weber High School. Public Works and private contractors really assisted a lot with this incident. Public Works did a lot of the evacuations for Fire Command so that they could focus on what they needed to, and they helped the police departments do that evacuation while the police department was obviously handling traffic control in the area. And then we had private contractors who we were able to mobilize bulldozers and get them on site and stage them so that if we needed to, we could deploy them, or Fire Command could deploy them to cut fire breaks. One of those dozers was actually deployed. And if you go look at the mountainside, it's really amazing how well a dozer fire break really works in containing fire. I never really thought about it till after this incident when I went up to kind of look over the scene, and it's just incredible to me that they can cut those lines in fairly quickly and it's so effective. So we had a lot of community support as well from local businesses and organizations that reached out to provide food, water, so much stuff, and we're so grateful for everything that they did for the firefighters, for the EOC staff that was here. It just felt like there was a constant flow of requests to help. Even when we had enough, we had that, and we actually had to tell people we were good. So some of the strengths that happened with this that we recognized in our hot wash meeting was the strong leadership and the early resource staging, particularly in the EOC. Our city staff knew what they were supposed to do and how they were supposed to do it. It opened my eyes to know how the Emergency Operations Center should be organized for the city in the future for future incidents. And it was a reminder to me that our staff in an incident, oftentimes we talk about it, but our staff is going to be doing the exact same thing they do on a daily basis with a higher amount of urgency. And it was really, really cool to see. We also had effective, timely public information from the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, that was put out on Facebook and on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And then again, the staff was well trained. We've done a lot over the last few years to try to get our staff through the required trainings to help us be prepared. And so that really paid off with most of our staff being successfully done with their trainings. There's a few that I'm still working with, and we'll get them there. So some of the challenges was the limited integration with fire personnel. With everything moving so quickly, it kind of got overlooked for a little bit. We actually wound up sending our water supervisor up to the incident command post because by that point, all the firefighters were very busy doing what they needed to be doing to handle it. The gaps in social media account access. We had access to Facebook and Instagram. We didn't have access to our X account at the time. We've since gotten that figured out with Katie, our social media coordinator. But thankfully, one of our employees was willing to change his X handle to North Ogden EOC and was able to put stuff out there and put information out there so that at least it was getting out to the public. There was weak to non-existent cellular service in the area. That's something that the firefighters had. We had Weber County Emergency Management had. It's everybody was trying to make sure that their family was okay. And so it just bottlenecked down, and the cellular networks were clogged up, as they often are when an incident occurs. It used to be back in the day that wouldn't happen because not as many people had cell phones. And now everybody's got one in their pocket, and everybody and their kids have one in their pocket. And so they're all, on TikTok or Instagram, or they're texting their loved ones to make sure they're okay. So there's a need for better communication with elected officials. We felt like we were trying to communicate with you as a council to keep you up to date as much as possible. With this incident, it was really difficult to do, just because of how flux it was. Typically in an incident, and I shared this with during the panel down at the ULCT conference. Typically during an incident, we'd have you guys be our policy group, and you would be meeting in a room that's close to the EOC so that we can communicate with you, and you guys can give us the policy and the direction that we want to take things and how we want to move forward. So for this incident, there was a need for better communication, more clear communication with you guys, and I apologize for that. And then a lack of formal memorandums of understanding with contractors for traffic control, equipment use, and it just highlighted the need for those MOUs to be in place prior to an incident occurring, so that when an incident does occur, we don't get price gouged, or somebody else doesn't beat us to the punch and take all the equipment if it's a large scale event such as an earthquake or such. So some of the corrective actions that we're taking, training exercises are going to include fire personnel and city staff moving forward. We're going to expand social media access for official updates, which, as I said, we have done that. We've gained access to that X account. We're also going to be implementing, probably beginning in January, an annual training for elected officials, which is you guys. I'm talking with Weber County Emergency Management about coming and teaching a class. It'll be a two-hour class, I think she said. And so we can figure out how to break that up, an hour, 1 week, an hour, the next week or something. That's still in flux there. We're also going to explore, this is something that fire has, I believe is what they said. It's like FirstNet. It's priority service on the cell service. We want to explore that for city cell phones for our police department, Public Works as well. They used to have it, and then we switched carriers, and so we're looking into see if our current carrier offers that priority service, and then developing those MOUs with contractors and partners just to help us be ready to mobilize and handle any situation that arises. And then, so my conclusion is that the unified and trained staff is stronger, equals a stronger future response. And our next risk really is a post-fire flooding or landslide. And for that, we do have some points put in on the hillside that our Public Works team is monitoring to make sure that the land's not moving. There's some concern there. The large amount of it is far enough away from homes. If you look on the map there, the red is the outline of the fire. And so you can see a large amount of that is actually back up in the hills where most of the landslide or the land movement would be far enough away from homes that there's not as much danger. There is still some danger, particularly in this area right here. Oh, you guys can't see that, so it doesn't matter if I'm particularly in the Mason Cove area, because they got so close to those homes. And so, yeah, that area right there that John's circling, that's where the biggest risk is to property and life. So that's where we're really monitoring over the next 6 to 9 months as winter comes and winter leaves. And that's my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions or any questions that you have that I can answer or I can find answers for.
Any questions for Casey, Councilmember Pulver?
So do we have, I mean, it's been a complaint of mine for 2 years. Doesn't matter what cell service you have. If the farther you go up the hill, it sucks. And I'm sure Mr. Delpaz would also pretty much say that. But and a neighbor of mine had an incident where they called 911. They couldn't quite tell what was the issue, so they sent everything. So, and it was just a minor thing. Anyway, so I think the bottom line is that as a city, what can we do to push cell companies to go, hey, we need more coverage, you know? And I don't care. I mean, they came in, was it planning commission? I can't remember which meeting. Then they said, oh yeah, we're gonna maybe put one over. Was it over on a tank or something? I don't remember what they said, but
By
it
the
wasn't-
equestrian center.
yeah, question center. I'm like, oh, that's freaking crazy. But anyway, because that's, you know, I just think there's something that they'd be pushing up the hill type of thing that I know it's line of sight and anything additional would be spectacular to take the load, but I don't know. I think there's something that we should at least endeavor to find or push for. And I don't know exactly how to do that, but
Mr. Call, any suggestions?
So we have done a few things in our ordinance to allow for additional. One of the things we did a while ago is we allowed for small form antennas, basically on power poles, to help boost the system. Verizon was looking at deploying that in the city. That fell through. Every time one of them comes and talks to us, we say, here's all the properties we have, you know, the schools. And the reality is that it's just hasn't been the right investment for them yet. Although the tower that Scott has been working on over at the equestrian park, they're slowly moving forward. Most people don't realize how high up the hill the equestrian park is. You know, it's above Bates Elementary as far as elevation wise, so it should provide a good clear distance, but they need them every, I think, 2 miles or 1.5 miles to really provide good coverage. And so they're going to need something over on the Pleasant View North Ogden border to provide really good coverage.
yeah. And I think the sucky part is the fact that when they cut the power, because everybody's on Wi-Fi until they cut the power and then everything's on cell. So I think that's what killed the entire system was the instantaneous flip to cell data and there was nothing. So anyway.
Yeah, and with any other disaster or large scale incident, oftentimes they see cellular networks just aren't built for that amount of load, right? So when there's a largest scale event that happens, people go to the cellular and it overloads the system.
So yeah, we should tell people not to watch cat videos is what you're saying.
Absolutely, yeah. Actually, you should watch more cat videos. So.
Councilmember Barger and Watson, do you both have your hand up? Councilmember Watson?
I was just curious. It seems like some time ago we talked about trying to get more signage up there about private property, but we needed the permission from the landowners. Is that something that we were able to do, or how can we make that possible?
John?
So we have been in contact with the with the property owners at the top of 1050. They are actually in the process of talking about development. That's one of the things you talked about at your work session at the beginning of this month. The signs up is not going to be an issue. It's actually what we probably need is some sort of barrier that keeps the cars and motorcycles out, which means a fence. And now you're talking tens of thousands of dollars of fencing across the hillside that especially the little dirt bikes can just go around, right? They could go through someone's yard and be on the hill. So, but we have the ability to put up signage if the council would like it. It won't stop the bad actors because they know they're on private property. They know they're not supposed to be up there.
I would also add that most of these places, these entrances, if you will, already have signs that say that there's no motor vehicle access due to, North Ogden City Code. In fact, my time in the streets department, I put up most of those signs. People just ignore them, and so it's a matter of having a more definitive barrier.
Obviously, enforcement would play a role. There any other comments or questions? Councilmember Dalpas?
I wonder if we could put out an open letter to all the large cell providers, just write a letter to each of them saying, urging them to please consider expansion in North Ogden City and we could mention what has happened recently and ask for their help. I don't know how likely we would get help, but it's worth a try. That would be awesome, I think, if we could do that. I don't know how hard or easy it would be for staff to do that. And then the other thought was during this event, it seemed like most of our role on the council was dispelling rumors, because someone would be on social media and they would say, there's a house on fire. Well, no, there's not a house on fire. There's a house that appears to be on fire, because all the different vantage points was creating that illusion. And so I was wondering if maybe we could consider first net access for the city council and mayor to have as well, because that way, if there's a call that needs to be made, and even if it's just settling nerves of residents that are trying to figure out what's going on, maybe they don't have the perfect internet situation or their cell service is acting up and they're able to get to us, but they can't. Anyways, it just seems like that would be a good consideration, is to have that type of phone line access for the council and mayor for emergencies.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That's definitely something that we'll add to our list as we look into that. So
Thanks, Councilmember Dalpas. You might want to, in our presentation, the question came up is what should be the involvement of elected officials? How do I respond to that?
so typically elected officials, like I said, you guys would be our policy group. You wouldn't be in the EOC. You'd actually, according to our emergency operation plan, you would be in the jury room. That would be our policy group room where you guys would be discussing things, and we would be able to bring things from the EOC to you to have a policy made or decided on. And we would take that back to the emergency operations center to be communicated to the incident command post. So typically that's what it is. A lot of times, like Councilman Dalpas says, you're going to be fielding questions and concerns from citizens, and because those are your neighbors, those are the people you interact with every day. Us as staff, we interact with people, but not on the same level you do. And so I would encourage, and that's part of the training that we want to do every January, is teaching you what your role would be and what to do in a situation. I know we don't want to have too many people in the EOC because then it just causes more chaos. But we want to be able to have access to you to make those decisions if the need arises.
I think how I answered that was stay out of people's way and let them do their job. We're resource providers. We're not experts in fighting fires or directing traffic. So that was my response, is be a resource provider as a council, but stay out of the way of those people who know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's a fair response as well. Just stay in your own lane.
You said that in public, John.
Will, he did at the panel. So we'll tell you what we need from you more often than not. And so wait for us to ask for your help instead of trying to, because if you just try to do it yourself and deploy yourself, then it cause way more problems for me as an emergency manager, as the EOC manager. It caused me way more headaches. So if we need your assistance, we'll reach out.
All right, Casey, good job. Any questions for Casey? Any further questions?
Just a compliment. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
And we appreciate John also for foregoing his sleep for that period of time. So thank you. All right. I think we need to approve that after action report that was just presented by Casey. So I would look for a motion to approve the after action report at the Willard Peak Fire.
Mayor, I move that we approve the after-action report on the Willard Peak Fire.
Thank you, Councilmember Severing. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Thanks, Councilmember Watson. Any further questions or discussion? Not, we've requested to have a roll call vote on the acceptance of this report. So we'll start with you, Councilmember Watson,
Yes.
Councilmember Barker,
Yes.
Councilmember Severing.
Yes.
Yes, Councilmember Dalpaz.
Yes.
And Councilmember Pulver.
Yes.
That motion also passes unanimously. You're an agreeable bunch tonight. Thank you. All right, we'll move into item number 9 on our agenda. This is council department reports. And Councilmember Dalpaz, do you have anything you'd like to report to the public on the police department?
Sure. I got a few notes from Lieutenant Boyette. He mentioned that they had a successful visit with Tri-City Exchange today, and it appears that they are making some major progress in all of the items that we have been working with them on. So that sounds very encouraging. There is also going to be some information coming up probably next week on some trainings that are going to take place in the homes that are going to be demolished along Washington Boulevard. So from the curve above Alberta Drive to 3100 North, there's approximately 8 homes on the west side that the city owns in anticipation for the widening of Washington. And those homes are going to be demolished sooner than later. But before they get demolished, it will be a great training ground for our police and fire to kind of hone their skills in what they do. So it should be an awesome opportunity for them. So be aware, tell your neighbors that that's going to happen. So I'm sure hopefully we get the word out good enough that people don't get too concerned with seeing all that happening.
It would be good to, don't tell them yet that there's vacant buildings because we don't want people poking around in there. But watch for the social media post that says, hey, tomorrow there'll be.
There
the
isn't
police
vacant buildings in that
Yeah.
area, just to be clear, I guess. Anyways, so last but not least, I just wanted to point everyone to some great information that was put on the One North Ogden Facebook page, and I'm sure will hopefully be posted on our website somewhere about e-bikes and electric motorcycles and what all the restrictions are around operating those. There has been an uptick in the amount of those things that are around North Ogden. So please take a look at that post and familiarize yourself with the rules and regulations. There's certain classifications of electric bikes, and there's a difference between an electric bike and an electric motorcycle, and all of the different ages, age restrictions that are upon there, and if you need helmets and all these things. So take a look at that and refer to that. And if you ever run into any issues with somebody that you think you have a problem with that, then you can call the non-emergency dispatch and they can help look into it for you.
Is that your report, Councilmember Dalpaz?
That is my report. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I was just wondering, do you have any idea if they communicated with you when we'll be receiving the strategy on enforcement for speeding and stop sign violation? There was a strategy. I know right now the educational phase is going on. Do you know anything about when that report? will be coming?
Sounds like you've given me some homework to check in with the
Okay,
police
thank
department
you.
on that.
Just as a reminder, you've probably got the same calls I've got about speeding in the city and people not stopping at stop signs. So we've asked Lieutenant Long to put together a strategy. I know that the educational phase is going on right now, as my daughter-in-law told me she got pulled over for speeding. And I said, yeah, and? She goes, and the officer said, just want to let you know the mayor's serious about this speeding. He didn't know it was my daughter-in-law, but serious about this enforcement of speeding and stop sign violation.
And
John?
I know I've seen Officer or Lieutenant Long assisting in this education. The first couple of weeks of school, he was out there in the morning with all the other troops, letting people know speeding is an issue. So.
Yeah, I know he was going to present a strategy. I know he's gathering some data, so if you could just
Okay, I'll
let us
follow
know
up on
what
that.
timeframe on that. Thank
Yep.
you. Councilmember Severing, report on building and planning departments?
Yes, Mayor. So the great Scott Hess wanted me to inform the citizens that they attended a recent APA conference in Salt Lake and were taught by many national and state planners, and are excited to bring that information back to the Planning Commission and Council. For those of you who might be interested, there are going to be 2 Planning Commission seats available, and you can apply beginning in November. So it's really, having served on the Planning Commission, there's a lot to learn. Last but not least, building permits continue to be reviewed and approved for residential development. And the city is looking forward to new commercial development coming very soon. That's all we had to report.
Thank you, Councilmember Severing. We'll now go to Councilmember Barker and see what he has to report on for the
So-
Parks Department.
I was actually over at Public Works today and I meant to talk to Jamie and I forgot. So all I can say is they're getting parks ready for winter, but I can get you a better report in 2 weeks.
All right. Thank you. All right, we'll go on to item number 10 on our agenda now, which is public comments. If anyone would like to comment about any of the issues we've discussed tonight or anything we should be discussing, I would invite you up to the podium here. And once again, state your name. And if you're a resident of North Ogden, and please limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes. And those who have already commented are welcome to comment again.
Teresa Kessinger, and I'm a resident. Talking about the Willard Peak Fire, I live at 1350. And when you're talking about signage and gates and such, should I be calling when I see people drive up there? Because I see it out my window and I'm like, am I supposed to be calling the police about this? Like, I don't know. Okay, I don't want to be the annoying person that calls the police department anytime, but now I see how significant it is and like how important it is. And so I will definitely call if that's what I need to do.
Probably dispatch would be the quickest to get them up there. What happens is there's some vanishing act that takes place.
Yeah, there's
Once the police show up, they're gone.
right.
So, yeah, the quicker we can get up there. We used to have a motorcycle in the police department to go up there and chase them with, but
Yeah.
someone purchased that from
Oh.
the police department.
And then I thought maybe because the signs are there saying no unauthorized vehicles,
Yeah,
but like they're not, respected very much. So maybe if there was a fine,
yeah.
a pretty substantial fine, and maybe if somebody got hit with that fine at some point, then maybe people wouldn't think it's
Yeah.
no joke to drive up there. Like
There is a fine associated with it. It's catching them. That's the
the
big issue.
problem.
But yes, good idea, and thanks.
Thank you.
More calls, the better if it's
Yeah.
happening.
Yes.
Go for it.
And as a reminder, the non-emergency dispatch is available for things that aren't life or life safety related. So
Bill Swanson, resident. I almost had that bike, Mayor.
Somebody bought it out from underneath. you,
Yeah, I
huh?
think it came down to a coin flip and one of us won. The other lost. Darn you.
I made it back.
Oh, my goodness. I just wanted to say thank you to the entire city staff and everyone, all the agencies that were involved with the fire. That was really something to watch, all the agencies. And, even though in the report tonight that there were some gaps and there were some shortcomings, I think that happens as our fire marshal can attest, that happens in any big emergency. It doesn't matter how prepared you are. There's always going to end up being gaps and you learn from it. And really a spectacular showing, not only of professional services, but of neighbors helping neighbors and doing that North Ogden thing. I don't know how many of you have looked up there in the last week at the burn scar or have hiked up there. Blake, I know you have. Surprise.
Surprise. Just there this morning for
There is
15 minutes.
green popping out everywhere up there. It's really pretty amazing how resilient that hillside has turned out to be that, I don't know if it's because the fire was so hot and it ran so fast that it didn't have a chance to kill the foliage, but man, it's really something to see the green that's coming out up there. And hopefully that'll help us with the flooding and any kind of landslide or burn scar flooding that goes on from that. And then just to thank you for all that you do and all the hard work that you put in. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone online, John?
No raised hands right now, Mayor.
Anyone here further? Okay, we will then move on to comments. We'll start with staff. Peter, anything else? Brian, anything else? Scott, Casey? I don't see anyone from the police department here. Mr. Call?
Yes, just an update for the council on the conversation about taking over the legacy HOA roads. I went to a meeting with the legacy HOA on Saturday. It was at their general membership meeting. I answered some questions. I tried to make it very clear that the city is not actively pursuing this. This was something the HOA came and asked the city to take over. And the city's response was, if you find a way to bring the roads up to our standard, as far as like quality, then we will consider it. There is maybe some confusion in that it's the city's idea and the city's pushing it. We are not pushing it, as you all know, since none of you are pushing it. But just they are divided. So you probably have gotten phone calls. Just so you know, I'm doing my best to make it very clear that it's not a final decision. In theory, it'll come back to the council 2 more times before anything would happen. So you would see it in the future, but at this point, the city is including their road in our road bids for next year as a Schedule D, meaning it's, Schedule A, B, and C are what the city would normally do with our paving and our seal coats and other things like that. And the Schedule D is give us a bid on this. We're not guaranteeing that we will pay for it or that we'll do this project, but we'd like to know what it would cost. And so the RFPs that'll come back in December should include that. So we'll have a better idea of what the cost will be. And that should help the HOA with a decision on whether or not they are willing to take on that cost as part of this process. And then it still has to be approved by the city, the HOA board. They need to change their bylaws, and then their individual members need to 60 or 66% of them have to sign that they're okay moving into a special service district. So there's a lot of hurdles between now and then. And it has been quite contentious. I'm surprised our city council meetings aren't that rough, but there was a chant for vote, vote, vote that I thought was fun. And, but you can tell that those residents are passionate about it, and they enjoy what they have, and they're trying to make sure that they can maintain their quality of life. So it's
Thank you, John, for that update. Council, do you have anything further? Councilmember Pulver and Councilmember Severing.
So I know Councilman Del Paz was talking about e-scooters or no, not e-scooters. You were talking about e-bikes and motorcycles. And I think, I think the one thing was scooters, and we were talking before the meeting about how that it should be a subcategory of the e-bikes. But I think that's something that I don't know if we need to talk to the chief about and just say, hey, that's because I don't say it's a bigger issue, but there's so many kids in just around everywhere that are using those things at high velocity, and you look up some of these things and they can go 20 miles an hour without blinking an eye. And that's, everything else should, you need, can't remember what the cutoff is. At 28 miles an hour, then you need a license, but it's something to discuss, because I've almost tagged a couple of them because they ignore stop signs as well. So something to think about. And then for the crazy people that are starting to work on Christmas stuff, there actually is a radio station, 103.1, that has Christmas music on. So just for those that are already going there. Anyway.
No, thank you. Thank you.
That was such an essential report to us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on my radio. Go to my car.
Councilmember Severing, do you have anything to report about Halloween or anything?
Yes, it's in a matter of days, practically weeks.
Practically.
Like our trunk or treat's coming up, right?
Treat, absolutely. Just a couple of things really quick. So I had a citizen, a mom reach out. Her son would like to be a ref for the spring soccer season. Who does she contact?
SWAT soccer. We don't do a city program.
All right. And then it's kind of interesting. We started talking about, motorcycles, these e-motorcycles and so forth. I actually had some hikers I bumped into and we got talking. And I couldn't answer this question. I don't know if there's anything we can do as a city, but they were concerned that so frequently, even just the regular mountain bikes, if there was any way there could be some kind of an ordinance to have bells on them. Because apparently there's been people that have almost been hit. From my own experience hiking, sometimes you don't hear the mountain bikers coming down. And I said, well, I'll ask.
The hard part is a lot of those areas where they're coming downhill are in the county, so our ordinance wouldn't help. Scott could tell you a good majority of the serious mountain bikers do put bells on them. So they got a silencer for when they're going uphill, then they turn it off when it's coming down, and so you can hear them coming. But it is a concern being out on the trails because not everyone follows even the yielding laws, for who gets yielded to, when and where.
Okay. Well, I told him I would ask. Last but not least, I am kind of curious about, I think today was the first day I did not hear motorcycles above my house in the fire area. So Mike, what is the fine? If you get caught up there, what is the fine? Do you know?
It's probably a misdemeanor, so it's probably $250 would be the maximum, and the judge would be the one who imposes it.
So
So it could be up to $250.
we could increase that.
If it's a crime, then no, the state sets the max for the different crimes. If it's a civil city violation, then we can do it, but typically we are only allowed a civil citation to be, for the first offense, to be up to a Class B misdemeanor, which is $250, and the second offense it can go up to I think $1,000 or $1,200. But and the mayor said it perfectly. It's finding them, because even when we had the motorcycles and the officers would go up, the second they went up, the kids or the adults would drop down into the houses and close their garage, and we'd never find them. I mean, all the ones that run past all of our houses, because we all see them, they all are on essentially the same looking bike with the same helmet. Like, there's hardly any that look unique at this point. So getting the word out and helping parents to help us regulate is going to be huge.
I did have a family that owns ground up there reach out to me, and they were contemplating the idea of putting up a 4x8 kind of a plywood shaped sign that just like if you were to go past actually onto the dirt trails, that they would actually put good, bad, what?
It would violate our sign ordinance. It's too big in a residential area. So
But if it's on private, if it's on just private,
so
non-infrared.
what I'm saying is there's the best way to do it is if there was some way to partner on fencing, that would be the best way to keep people out, at least at that point. But people can go up the divide, hit the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, and go under the power lines and drop down, and that's not fenced off because it's a trail. So there's good ways to get information out. I would support a big sign. It's just we would need to create a provision in our code that allows for a sign that big in a residential area. So
Okay. Because I told her that we would probably not be able to really get on something that until like spring of next year. So maybe we can look at that.
as far as the city paying for it to put it in,
No, actually, they're willing to pay for it.
I mean, an ordinance change isn't that long.
Okay.
So if it was something that was dealing with public safety, there could probably be there's a Supreme Court case out there that's problematic. Because if you're regulating what the sign says, so if you say, if it's related to fire danger, it's allowed. If it's relating to underwater basket weaving classes, it's not. Like, if you have to read the sign to know if it's allowed or not, that's technically violates the freedom of speech rules. in the
So I think what
Constitution.
he was thinking is just duplicating what's on those little small signs and actually putting that on a very visible 4x8.
Yeah, it's the size that's the issue.
But if we can get that passed, then we could just duplicate what's on the metal signs and put that on the,
Yep.
okay. There's people very concerned about another fire, including myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else, council members? Councilmember Barker?
Just to piggyback off what Councilmember Dowpass said with the training that's coming up, our Public Works is going to have two big signs, their digital signs announcing it above and below, depending if you're going up or down, to let people know. When we did this type of training in Harrisville a month ago, we got lots of fire calls called in because we were smoking up buildings on purpose. So we're trying to limit all that, but we will be smoking up buildings. So if you see buildings on fire on Washington with fire trucks out front, we already know. But that kind of stuff, it will be exciting to see because that's not very often we get a destroyed, beat up train in eight houses at one time.
Okay, well, it should be exciting.
Yeah.
One thing, John, would you contact Sean Wilkinson at the county? I think it would be well for them to come make a presentation on the transfer station, what's going on there, what they're requesting, and what ramifications are of various decisions. So if you could do that and get it on the agenda for an upcoming meeting.
Yeah.
I think the council needs to be updated on that before a decision's made. Anything else? If not, I'd look for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.